This
Just for a
conference will now be recorded.
Um, so we talked about we were going to move to Zoho Desk, a different support platform, which to most everybody won't make a difference. It's still just an email back and forth. But we're going to go in and use China's system. They're moving to the one that we were going to move to because they want to keep up with what we're doing on that. But they're going to make a global one. Well, each of the dealers will have their own portal and everything. There'll be one for USA, one for Germany, but all of the articles can be in one central repository and they're automatically translated. So if I wanted some of our content to be in their database, they could do it, and vice versa. So we'll be able to have a central repo of data and have all of that stuff show up on our site as well if we want it to. Plus,
That'll
China
be
can get in
awesome.
there easier and help. We're going to add all the vendors as light agents, like we were talking about earlier, Jason. I
Yep.
had you in there before, but the way that other system worked, it wasn't good. The light agent is like $6 a month,
Yep.
and you can get in there and do whatever you want, and I can even assign it to where only the rotary calls go to you,
Yeah.
and things like that. So we're still working out how that works. Like I said, on the outside, it won't be a big deal to those looking in. The change will happen in the middle of the night sometime. The database, the knowledge base may look a little different. You might go in one day and it might look different, but that kind of stuff happens, just website changes and things. So that won't be too major, but that's where we're at on that. And they're going to get the enterprise system, so we're going to have some advanced tools and AI and all kinds of stuff to help streamline the support workflow. So
Cool deal. Yeah. Yeah. Cause like I said before, I don't expect you guys to be the end all be all or to take the workload. You know.
yeah, well, there aren't that many. Like I said, that we had 300 something, and out of 7,000 tickets that were rotary related, and only three of them were like really a rotary thing. Most
Yeah.
of it was a setting or a wire, direction swapped or something like that. So
Yeah.
there's not that much service burden on them anyway. So that's why we usually just handle them in house. But to keep our channels right moving forward, with our vendors and stuff, that's I think how we want to handle it going forward, so that
Yeah.
everybody can be on the same page and collaborate in one system together.
Yeah. Cause
Wow.
there's one issue that keeps popping up, and I get calls on, and I keep referring them to you guys for trouble tickets and stuff. Is like when they plug in the rotary's not getting powered for some reason. Um, I have them go through and check the wiring and everything, and I never hear kind of what fixed it.
Right. Gotcha.
So when so it'd be nice to be able to look into that and see. That way, I have for my own knowledge base if people ask again, so I don't have to send them
Right.
back and forth
Yeah,
with you
you'll
guys
have
if I
access
can
to all
answer
the
that
old
question.
tickets and histories and everything. So, so you'll be able to keep up with all that better.
All
So
right.
yeah, I think it'll be a good thing. It might be a little painful switch, and it always is. It'll
Hmm.
look a little different than that last system, but I think it's much improved. I'm kind of glad they kicked us out of the old one, because it really, after seeing what this one can do, I think it was the right thing. So, and I know I kept talking about reformatting these and these sessions. Some of our marketing people are going to start promoting this more so that we can get more uh, pre-sales questions and things like that, which is kind of what it's intended for.
Yep.
And that way we can keep some, the more people we have, the more questions. Hopefully we can keep going and kind of keep it for that. And then we're still looking at building some sort of curriculum for it, so that we have, or maybe, I don't know exactly how that's going to play out yet. That's what we're dealing with, is maybe every other one, or the first 30 minutes is questions and the second we'll go over a design, or something like that. But we're still trying to hammer all that out and see what's best. We're kind of been doing it, flying by the seat of our pants with it, but I want to get some structure since we're growing, and make sure that we're able to scale and keep everything the way it needs to be. So with that, if anybody has any questions or anything, like I said, always feel free to just jump in and say hey. And if anybody's got any topics they want to discuss or whatnot, we'll be glad to go over them.
So there's 16 people in here. Well, there's 15 now. That's a lot.
Yeah, we scared Sam off.
Nah, I don't think so.
Oh crap, he's back.
Quit talking about him.
So
Sam's probably in that convoy.
Trying to see if there's anything new that we have besides that. Oh yeah, there is one. There is a small number of fans that are going out, those inline fans on these newer machines. Some of them are dual voltage. They're 110 and 220, so it doesn't matter. But some of them got mislabeled as 220 units. But I've been told by China that if you have a machine and it has 220 on the fan, that's just the label that's not right. The part is actually the same. They put the wrong labels on them. So if we've seen one call about that. So I can confirm that with China, and they said they'd send me some replacement stickers, but I don't know if that's really a big deal or not. Just as long as you know you didn't get the wrong one. So if you happen to see those. And I think on the newer Odins, they're going to put the pressure. Did I tell you about that? The pressure monitors are going to be stocking all of them. They're putting them in the Odins now. Didn't you get an Odin, Jason?
No, I'm trying to work on it, but
Okay.
I don't
I don't
know.
think the Novas will have those yet. I don't think your 63 would have it built in yet. That's something they're talking about for this year.
No, it don't.
Okay. See that, and that's the thing. My Nova's 2.5 years old now, and it's the old style now. Just because of the evolution. I don't have a maintenance board. There's a couple other things that are in there. I've got the old style solenoids and the old style air valves, and some other things. So things are constantly evolving. So I try to stay up with them as much as I can.
That'll be a good thing to have. It's nice to have too. Is I've seen on some that they have the water temperature gauge, like a digital readout of the water temperature and stuff. I mean, not that it really is that crucial, but it's just kind of a neat little feature.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of like the meters. A lot of people, especially coming from another Chinese, like a clone or an eBay laser or something, or why don't you have your meter mounted up front? We've got it in case we need it, but it's not one that you actually have to look at. Chiller's kind of the same way. If it beeps at you, there's something wrong. If it doesn't, you're in good shape usually. But yeah,
Yeah.
I like all that heads up stuff on mine just because I do so much stuff. So I've got the remote current
Well,
meter on mine. But
the biggest thing for those is people that have to tuck them away or something where they're not
yeah,
visible all the time. Yeah, you got the alarm and everything, but I mean, like you said, it's not that crucial, but just a
yeah. Well,
nicety
in
more than
some it
anything.
is. Like with those K40s I used to build, I had to constantly watch the temperature because a little bit of a temperature differential would make a huge difference in the perceived power output or actual power output. It would change.
Hmm.
These are a lot more stable across a wider
Yeah.
range.
Now,
But
I got a question for you. I've had a couple calls, just kind of like cold calls, and people asking questions about different types of lasers and stuff. And apparently, there's a rumor floating around about Thunders. Someone, I guess, I don't know what reality there is in this, but because I'm pretty sure they all use the same tubes at this point almost. But I've had a couple people asking why the Thunder tubes don't last very long,
well,
and
they
I
do.
don't.
We normally use SPT. The 80 watts have Reese's in them now.
Yeah,
But Thunder has historically always used SPT and or Reese. And the reason we use SPT more is because they have a more uniform beam signature across a wider range of power than the Reese, even though the Reese lasts longer. But you're also paying twice as much for the tube.
but
So if
what
you break it, huh?
but what might be causing people to? I mean, I don't. They didn't give me a source as to where they got this information.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, what could possibly be leading them to say that or think that? I mean, somewhere
The
someone's
old
got to be
thing
saying
that
something.
Reese's last the life of the machine or whatever it is that they say, and ours have 2 to 4,000 hours is the life on ours. Most Reese's are
Oh,
6, 8, 10,000 hours, but that's just a number they come up with in a lab. You
yeah,
know, the Reese's do last longer, but they also cost more. If you break it down, they cost about the same amount of dollar per watt hour or however you want
for
to calculate
usage.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the SPT tube costs half of what the Reese does, but it only lasts half as long.
Yeah, I was
Um,
just curious. I was just curious 'cause I didn't know how to answer that question. I'm
yeah,
like, well, I
I
mean,
think a lot of it is stigma. The Reese may be designed, like for instance, the tantalum electrodes, the cathode and the anode may be thicker. I don't know how much that'll help though, because you still get degradation and metal vapor deposition all over the inside of the pumping chamber anytime it's arcing. But there's some design differences that they may have found a secret to make them last a little longer. At the end of the day, if they give you the power, the time that, the nominal time that they say they will, and if they're not just burning up, then I don't necessarily think that's a flaw. It's just, I'll give you an example. We had these copiers. We had 2 different Kyocera machines, and one of them had a drum that would last 200,000 copies. You could do 200,000 pages before you needed another one. And the other drum would only last 1,000. And of course, the other one cost a lot more. But here's the thing, and this is a little different with a tube, but what if you freeze it or something? Somebody would go in to remove a jam and have their wedding ring on and scratch the drum. Well, if you scratch a $500 drum that only lasts a little while, it doesn't hurt too bad to put it in. But if you scratch a $5,000 drum, 2 weeks after you get it, then that's a lot more painful to have to replace. I prefer the SPTs because if I do freeze one or break it, or I want a bigger one or whatever, the price is so much lower. It doesn't hurt so bad, not so much sticker shock.
So your usage out of it is about even, you'd say, then with the cost difference between the two.
About even.
Yeah.
I mean, and it has to work out that way across the board in a retail situation, or else they wouldn't be competing with one another, So I'm sure they line up in some way, but a lot of it just is that. I mean, it's maybe a heavier, just something about the design, but they also cost more, and that doesn't necessarily mean they're better. That, like I said, if Reese was better, Thunder would use Reese. But they're using SPTs in all but one of the machines, and they do it for a reason. They have a photonics lab there, and they test every tube that comes in that place. And they take all the ones that are good and keeps them, and all the ones that don't output as good as the other, they can get the cream of the crop. And they send all the other ones back to SPT. That's the kind of deal they have with them. And then SPT sells those on eBay. Not that they don't work and not that they're not good. We just pick the very best out of the lot. Just use those.
Now, which one last week did you say that they're switching to with the US based tube or something? What was
that's for all the RF tubes, all the air cooled RF tubes in the Odins and in the special order Novas whenever those occur. But all the RF tubes are going to be that coherent US manufacturer.
Cool.
They had too much trouble out of the other ones. So
who were they using before? Were they using Davy or
SPT on the 30 watts, and I don't know what the 60 watt one was. And then they were using at the very beginning, I've got a Nova 24 that's in the ticket system right now that has a water cooled 30 watt RF tube in it. And I've got the specs on it. Yeah, well, a lot of the higher powered ones are water cooled because you're only effective with air cooling to a certain degree.
That's true.
The water cooling is a lot more efficient, and so on the higher powered ones, 100 watt and above, I'd say that they're probably water cooled the majority of the time.
I've never seen one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Seeing that 30 watt with tube coming out of it, I'm like, what is that? I had to get with China to verify. So.
Is that just jacketed, or is it like the CO2s where it's encapsulated in around the beam?
Yeah, it's got galleries. It's got water galleries in there, instead of fins. Basically, like your car engine, it's just got, it just runs through it. So whatever you call that, I'm not sure exactly what the technical term is.
Radiator style, I guess.
So, but yeah, so they're looking at some future stuff. I still want to tell them that Odin 32 would be really nice with a 50 watt fiber source stuck in it for dual source.
Now, did you say that was capable or no?
Oh yeah.
I mean, with the frame and everything, is it set up to accept dual tubes, or?
It wouldn't be hard. You could say put 2 heads on it, and that'd be the easy way, and introduce one beam the standard way from the left hand side, and introduce the other one to the right, and then just have the offset and light burn so it knows the difference on the head placement. I was even thinking, and you couldn't fully integrate the head, but you could build it into one mechanism so that you have 2 mirrors and 2 lenses, all in one assembly. Maybe
so they're backed up to each other.
Kinda.
So
like
the heads
that.
are like a dual head on one one side, one on the other, but they both move with the one.
They're just attached. Yeah, exactly. Something system like that I think would work, because you got to have totally different optics, and switching them out's weird. whether it's mechanical or automatic, that'd be weird. Like changing out a pin and a plotter is a little different, but I don't know about switching lenses around in a carousel or something. But
Well, I wonder, is it just the focal lens that's an issue, or is it the mirrors too?
I don't know about the mirrors. I'd say that they have an impact also. I know the focus lens is way different.
Yeah,
Because
well, yeah, because of the wavelength.
the
and
focal
everything,
lenses would have to be too, because you couldn't use well, I have to see what optics they're using for beam steering on fiber.
Well, most use they don't even use actual mirrors. They use usually a copper, or not copper, but was it brass and silver?
Well, see, that's the
as
thing. The
reflectors for the.
reflectivity would have to be high enough that I think, and the material, because since the fiber can ablate metals, you wouldn't want to use an MO mirror or a copper mirror or even a silicon gold plated mirror. It would just burn the coating off.
Yeah, but before it gets to the head, it's not condensed, is it? Because the focal lens actually condenses the beam, doesn't it?
Well, it does, and I guess that's what you're counting on, is that it's not focused, and then it'll
Yeah.
do that. I'm not exact. I haven't delved into gantry style fiber very much.
So if that was the case, it wouldn't be that hard to use the same head and just swap out the nozzle with a fiber
Yeah.
nozzle or a CO2 nozzle if the mirrors can handle it.
I think that's what Epilogue does on their Fusion when you get the fiber and RF
They
CO2 source on theirs.
Well, they actually have two different heads on theirs.
Two different heads. Okay, well, that may be the best way to do it then. That's the way I was thinking, because then you don't have to swap anything out.
But they run opposing. Like if you're using the CO2, the fiber's parked on, let's say, the right, and then the CO2 moves, and if you use the fiber, the CO2's parked, and then the fiber one moves. So there's no switching or no combining.
Well,
at least the one that I saw.
Yeah, and like I said, my foray into gantry fiber is not very far yet. So, but I know it's possible, and I'd like to see it. I think because they've got an RF and a CO2, combo, Aeon and Boss or GWiki, whatever. And I kind of get that, but if you're going to spend that kind of money, first of all, on those machines that are starting to put servos in there and use DC tubes with them, I don't know how you'll ever get that thing to pulse fast enough to make a photo, But putting a dual source CO2 in there just doesn't make as much sense as doing like a higher power RF and then a laser. A fiber. Really,
From what I understand, talking with the few people that are associated with Boss, I was just picking some brains, and on their the ones that they're putting the servos in, they're doing it more for speed, so they don't have the overrun more than they're doing it for the accuracy or whatnot that you'd have with the actual RF tube. Even though they are, I guess there's a couple other companies that are coming out with RF tubes and their stuff too, but from what I understand from the people that I talk to, that's why they're going to servo, not for the speed of the tube, but more for to cut
the
down
acceleration, the buffer zones, the extend space.
So they can accelerate faster and they can stop faster and
that makes sense. But you still won't go above on a DC tube. You're not going to go above 500 or 600 millimeters per second and get any kind of photo out of it, because all your dots turn to dashes. And the only way to combat, to get 2 and 3 millimeter or 3,000 millimeter per second speeds is with an RF, really. So that the tube can pulse that high. And I get the premise behind it. You have a low power RF, you can dial in good for engraving, and then use the higher power DC for cutting. And that kind of makes sense, but it would be less complicated just to get an 80 watt RF, because you can dial those things down to a milliwatt if you want to, and they still maintain a somewhat uniform beam signature. So
I noticed there's at least as far as my engraving business goes, I've had a lot more people want to do stainless steel, like large stainless steel engravings. Like I have one right now it's like 2 foot by almost 3 foot.
Yeah,
and obviously
too big for a fiber.
Obviously, the only way I could do that now is with spray and a CO2, which makes it ridiculously expensive because the spray is expensive and obviously the time. But it's I see a more increasing value in what you're talking about as far as doing a fiber source on a gantry
Yeah.
to be able to do
If they
those
could do
larger
a dual
items.
source CO2 RF and a fiber in a gantry system like that and keep it under 30 grand,
Oh yeah.
it'd be out the door. We wouldn't be
Mm.
able to keep them, I don't
Oh yeah,
think.
because you can't get a few like the epilogues. You can't get a Fusion Pro for less than 50,
Yeah.
and I think that's probably on the low end.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe they'll work on that. So
Well,
I'll
they've been listening pretty good so far. So
well,
I mean,
you
it might
know,
just be
we're
time.
over half their business, so they tend to listen to us.
Yeah, that would be wise.
So yeah. But yeah, if anybody's got any questions, jump in. Sam, I see you got your mic unmuted. What you got, brother? All right. Jeremy, how about you, man? Travis?
No, I'm just trying to stay afloat with all the work I've got going on.
Yeah, it's been busy.
Must be nice.
Yeah, we picked up some really nice contracts here recently, but they're definitely testing us.
Yeah.
I had someone say to me one time, "There's only two types of work: not enough and too much."
That's
Not
about true.
enough. Not enough's the one that really hurts you.
Yeah.
So, all right. So here we go.
Got a
I saw a
question.
microphone. Hey, buddy, come on with it.
I've got Lightburn. I've got two computers in my shop, but I want to bring it to my house so that I can work after hours. What's the process for doing that?
So Lightburn
Hmm.
gives you 2 seats to your license. If you want a third, you can email support at lightburnsoftware.com and ask them nicely, and they'll open up a third seat for you so that you can run it on 3 instances. That's as far as the licensing goes. If you're talking about mirroring your setup so that all your profile and your camera stuff and all of that stuff remains intact on the new instance, then you can export your device profile, the one that's known to be good that you've been using, and import it into the new instance of Lightburn, and everything will be set up and ready.
Okay.
Yeah, because
And we,
if I was gonna say if you don't do that, then I
Then
mean
you'll
you're
be
obviously
setting
not gonna.
everything up.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
the thing is too is obviously you won't from home you won't be able to access your machine settings or anything like that. So if you don't export it like Brian was saying and import it into your new thing, you're kind of hoping you get everything identical so it kind of lines up when you send that file to work and do it there.
Yeah. So as far as the process on the Lightburn stuff, I would just email Lightburn about that if you need that extra thing. Also, while you're talking with them or whatnot, remind them you're a Thunder customer and you'd like to get your key put into your name, because whenever we get these Lightburn license keys from Lightburn, we just get a big list of them. We just buy them and get a list, and that's all we do. And then we just pass them on to the end users, right? So they're technically in our name, even though it really doesn't matter. But you can actually get them to attach your license key to your information, your email address, and then there's an online licensing portal. So for instance, let's say you had a computer crash and you couldn't deregister Lightburn on one of your computers, and now you don't have enough seats because one's taken up by a computer that crashed. You can go into that system and deregister the computer remotely and manage your licenses in an online portal.
Well,
So that,
with Lightburn, because I had that same instance happen with me where one of my computers crashed, and they have a list like whatever you name your computer, that's what they see. And you can deactivate it yourself, but when I was talking with Jason, you actually have to either email them or something to get them to reactivate it because
on the portal.
I wasn't able to activate it in the port. Well, maybe I
Well,
was in a different
that's because
setup.
you had to get it transferred to you first because it was under Thunder's name.
Well, no, this is one that I've had
Oh,
for
is it?
years.
Okay.
But yeah, I deactivated online, and there's a little button that says activate new whatever,
Mhm.
and it's grayed out. You couldn't click on it. And then when I got a hold of him, sent him an email, he said that yeah, you had to register it through them so they can get the updated information and all that
Gotcha.
to
But
allow you to, because once you
yeah,
deactivate it, it doesn't necessarily deactivate it, I guess, totally. They have to completely wipe out the, so I don't know, it was something. I had to get a hold of them. Maybe it was the portal. Maybe I messed something up on that. I don't know. But I got a hold of them, and within like 5 minutes, I was
yeah,
able to reload it onto a new computer, and I was good. So, I mean,
yeah.
that was just
But
my experience.
yeah. If you wanna email them and get that and put in your name and stuff, that'd be good. And that way you can get 3 seats and not have to just deal with 2. And as far as backing that stuff up, if you run into any hiccups, you can email us and we'll be glad to jump in there and help you. I'm not sure what documentation. I've got an article on backing up Lightburn settings. It goes over actually, because there's more than one place you can back up. You can back up just the camera profile. You can back up just the scanning offsets. But if you back up your device profile, whatever it was when it's set up, it has all of that data in it. So you only really need to do that one backup.
And that's
Okay.
under your if you go to edit and machine settings, at the bottom left of that pop-up, you'll see it'll say export data or export um, profile or something like that. You hit the export, you save it into a file, and then when you go to put it on whatever, the button above it, I believe, is the import, and then you just find that file, and it'll automatically update Lightburn with that profile that you had.
Yeah.
You're
So
gonna read from the controller and then save it, and then you can load it in the controller and write it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, yeah, you
So
definitely have to write it once you load it, or it ain't gonna do you any good.
Yep.
But you can load that profile um, into whatever. Like Brian's got several of them up there. You can click which one you want and load
yeah.
the
So if I
profile
wanted
to
to
it.
back up this Aurora 820 and put that on another computer, I would just click it and go to export, and then just
Yep.
save that file. Call it something. It'll be a LBDEV extension file, and then just call it whatever. Aurora, blah blah blah. Save it, and then you can just copy that over to that new computer. And you shouldn't have any devices in it at the very beginning. Then you just hit import and bring that right back in. And
Yeah.
I'll actually make a second instance just to show, but then it'll show that it came in there.
Yep. Yeah, it's
Do it with a
pretty
different
easy.
lens size.
And
Yeah.
also that comes in handy too. I use that to create like a library. I don't know if that's the right way to do it, but what I'll do is, obviously you want to back up your primary settings, because once you go and export and reload a new settings, it's going to reflect whatever that setting was particularly set up for. So you'd want to save the initial profile, and then what I do is I'll set it up for like a rotary, like I have different tumbler sizes and stuff. I'll go in there, I'll load the settings, and I have it labeled whatever that object is. It loads those parameters, so I don't have to go back and guess and write all this stuff down. It's just in there. You save it and then upload it in, and then go back.
That's in your library.
I don't know if that's the long way to do it or not, but that's that's the way I do it.
So let's see. Let me pull that back down. I was trying to see if there's anything else that was coming up that was a thing. Arthur, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. In fact, I got a question for you.
Awesome. I'd love to hear it.
A few weeks ago, I don't know, you may not remember, I posted some images of banding that I was getting when I was attempting to find the lowest threshold of my 130 watt laser.
Mhm.
And Travis actually piped in and he said that something seemed to be going on. He said, unless your power is coming into the laser dirty, if that's the case, you might consider a power conditioner. So I did a little research on power conditioners and found that they range in price from about $70 to $700. And I'm trying to figure out if that is something that I need. What exactly kind of a contraption am I looking for here? Because I've seen a few. They look kind of like power strips, but they call themselves power conditioners, and very
Yeah,
well
those.
may be that I'm not getting clean power, and that's the result that I'm getting with this banding.
It could be, and I've seen power be an issue in things and noise on the line and that kind of stuff. But honestly, not so much in these machines, not so much in these lasers. I always used to look at that real closely because in the copier industry, the power has to be extreme. They're way sensitive to that of anything's brownouts, transient surges, spikes, any of that kind of stuff. And it would really throw some nasty stuff at us. I have not seen any real evidence that electric line noise has been a factor in any of the banding that we've seen. There have always been other reasons. I'll put it that way. I'm not saying that's not possible, but the conditioner you may need to adequately power that thing may be more in the $700 range than in the $70 range. And
Well, I set up as per Travis's suggestion. I set my machine up for 10 millimeters per second, and then I was running it at 9.1 max, 9.1 min, and I'm getting a mark. The problem is that it varies from like dark brown to light tan, all in a simple 20 millimeter square,
right.
and kind of threw me for a loop. I put it on the back burner. I've been trying to figure out other things with the machine, but I keep going back to this and trying to figure it out because I'd like to be able to figure out what my minimum threshold is.
Well, is there a point that you can get to where there is no banding? Have you brought it up incrementally until you don't get banding?
Yeah, I'm usually somewhere around 11 and a half, which I thought was kind of high.
It's actually kind of low.
Is it? Okay.
The banding that we've seen could not get it to go away, and this case is actually referencing a 100-watt tube, but the striking voltages and stuff like that are fairly similar. And this one we had to get up to 31 or 29% power before it would stop banding. And here's what we saw. And SPT says this is not causing it, but it would band when we saw this and it wouldn't when we didn't. So take that as you will. But you'll notice the fan out here when this is arcing.
Right.
And if you'll look here, you see it's steady. Now this will dance around. It'll go all the way around the electrode and dance. That's fine. But this other one, it's actually fanning out and actually contacting, making a conical shape all the way around. And that is what we found, that if that can go away, we get a stable signature once we can get our beam, our arc and resultant plasma discharge to look like this. So you're probably still just in that gray area, because under and above the point to which the laser will actually excite, there's some unstable area below and above it. And you can still be in that unstable zone even though you're producing a beam. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yes.
So it may be a condition where you may have to get up to 20 or 25 or something to get a beam signature that's uniform enough to not cause that banding. And that's one of the deals, when everybody goes to, I've heard you go with a 130 or go with 100 or go with an 80. This is one of those little weird things when you're dealing on that low end, on that ionization threshold on the higher tubes, that you have to fight when you're trying to do delicate things like, engrave on canvas or, score lines or any of that stuff, really. It can be hard to dial in. Both of the circuits, there's two separate AC circuits in that system. One of them runs just about everything else, and the other, which is powered by the laser power supply switch, or the laser power switch, only supplies power to the chiller and the laser power supply. And they're on separate filtered circuits on purpose so that you're not getting noise from the other circuits. So they're isolated in the machine. I'm not saying that some extra conditioning may not be warranted. Before I did that, I would actually get a power meter and check. I've been tossing around getting one, because to get a good one, I need a line event monitor, like a Fluke VR101 or something like that you actually plug in, and it'll detect all of these things and keep a log of transients and all kinds of things so that we can look at it. I haven't bought one yet because they're expensive, but I may get one and send it out to people that are having issues, and we can actually collect some real data on their power lines before you go spending $700 on a conditioner. We need to actually quantify the conditions of your line, I think would be the way to go. It's
actually interesting, though, that this gives you a visual. At least it's something that you can definitively say, okay, I can see that, that conical formation around the
Yeah,
that laser there.
That test was not scientific. I drove to Kentucky with this other buddy, and we were just checking it out, So,
Right.
but that's what we found is if that arc fans out across that electrode, it tends to band. But
right, and I understand that the 130 is a lot of power, and it's difficult to dial it down. But every once in a while, I'll see somebody post something with a 130, and I say, well, how the hell did he do that? He's engraving tiles and canvas and doing all kinds of detailed work. So I go back to it. I try again, but I haven't been able to really fine tune it to the point where I have that kind of control. So
yeah. Now, there's been talk of maybe a beam expander or something like that to help attenuate the power and do things like that. If you're cutting, you can use if you're just cutting or actually not cutting, like scoring something thin. A lot of people want to do something real delicate, paper or something like that. You can use the perforation mode, and this is only in vector stuff, to actually pulse the beam. It makes a series of dots instead of a solid line in light burn. You just put the gaps, really tight. And it looks like a solid line, but it's not. So it's actually pulsing the laser twice. Well, not technically twice. It's pulsing the laser signal that's already being pulsed. So it effectively attenuates the power that way.
Right.
That doesn't help with your engraving, though. There's not.
Right. It's on the engraving side that engraving leather is really what I've been working on.
Is it the faux leather, like the JD, like the stuff that has a different color underneath?
No, I'm using veg tan leather.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say that stuff is hard to dial in on a 60 watt sometimes. That faux leather that's got the silver, that black and silver is the hardest stuff I've ever tried to dial in before.
It's real nice on the fiber though.
Yeah, I've worked with some of that, and I've actually managed to get that, to get my numbers dialed in for the black and silver, but and I get results. I mean, I'm okay with with a lot of what I'm getting, but I'm working with it. I'm learning on the it's all a process, and
sure.
And part of it is trying to really get my hands around this this low end power thing. But I'll keep pushing it and see what I can come up with.
Yeah, and if you want to check your power, I've been playing with the idea of getting some diagnostic equipment that's a little more advanced and sending it out, on certain things. And maybe you could be a guinea pig for this trial if I can talk admin into letting me spend a couple $100 on a meter.
Right. Well, I had
meter you're looking at getting?
I had taken your suggestion also of trying the 4-inch lens, which did give me a little bit more power, but it mucked with the detail to the point where it wasn't a good enough trade-off, in my case. So I don't know if there are other lens combinations that maybe.
Well, the lens combinations, I was thinking about using the 4, is technically half the power, or half the beam density as the 2. So if you were to go even further to try to do that, then you'd be going to a lens that's longer than a 4, which is going to make your spot size even bigger and blow out your detail even more. So optics may not be the right way to handle it, at least not in the traditional sense. There probably is an optical way to attenuate that beam.
Right. I wasn't sure if maybe I've seen some of those lenses. They're like 2 lenses that are sandwiched together. I wasn't sure if that was something that might.
That'll make you hotter with a finer.
Okay. Right, because it's more direct, more focused beam, right? So.
Right. So, Jeremy, you're asking about the sensor, the meter that I was looking at. This is the one that I'm used to using, but anything similar, just a voltage event monitor. We just use that VR101. I know there's some other, similar ones out there, and we just drop those off and leave them for a week and then go back and pick them up. But it's something like that, because the stuff on eBay and Amazon, the voltage monitors, they show you wattage and current draw and your peak voltage or whatever, but it doesn't really get into neutral to ground values and swells and surges and transients and all that stuff. So
yeah, if only you knew someone that worked for Fluke. Todd Tomlinson, didn't he work for Fluke?
I think he did.
Okay.
I think he did. That's the replacement for it, but it's $1,000, $1,500. You know.
Oh, good lord.
Yeah. So these are the kind of things we used in the copier industry. And when you go up against the local electric department and or TVA with 28 pages of stuff showing how their power is bad going in, they don't like it very much.
You're just looking. I was just looking because that seems. Let me go look.
That
Look
sounds
Fluke.
high because this VR
Look at a
101.
Fluke 43B. So that's a single phase power quality meter. That should be quite a bit cheaper than that. And then you could get okay, maybe they've gone up a good bit in price.
They may
I was
have.
gonna say,
Yeah.
might be able to
But
do some
anyway, that's
testing.
what
I
I'm
get
trying to
quite
do
a
is
few of those.
find. Maybe I can find one that'll work on Alibaba. I don't have to have it calibrated every month. So, you know, as long as it gives me a metric. I don't want it to be off, but I'm not going to spend $2,000 on a meter either. It's considering some of these people
What
run
kind of
these off
voltage
generators.
ranges are you looking to measure? Just the
Just
main
110.
voltage coming in?
Yep.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
looking at there's a lot of good we'll say like USB measurement type stuff where you don't do any of the capturing on the actual device. You just measure it, opto isolate it, and you send it to a program on the PC. A lot of manufacturers are going that way.
Yeah. So something like that would be cool too. I mean, if it was Bluetooth and they could, you know, give me remote telemetry, I'd be good with it. You know, of course, then I'm probably looking at adding another 0 on the end of it. But yeah, I'll come up with something. I want one anyway. Even though voltage doesn't, you know, line quality isn't as much of a factor as what I'm used to dealing with in some other vertical markets. I can still see where it's a thing, and if nothing else, it can be used to eliminate variables. So it might be worth it.
Yeah, when you go looking, just look into USB instruments.
Okay.
And ultimately, right, your voltage level, right, that's all low voltage powered from USB. And then you end up just buying the probes that are rated for what you're doing. And you can get current and voltage and just your digital inputs and stuff like that.
So I'll come up with some sort of solution for that. We'd been talking about even having a couple of meters, just multimeters that we could have packaged up and ready to go and slap a label on if somebody needs it. But I can buy meters on Alibaba for $1.49. You know, maybe I talked to China about it once about putting them in the boxes. It doesn't really make sense because a lot of people won't use them. But I mean, if they're $1.49, having them in there may help. But I'd say out of all the calls we do, about 10% of them need advanced diagnostics equipment or similar things. A multimeter is not advanced diagnostics, but in the scope of things we do, when everything's pretty much modular, that kind of is advanced. So.
Hey, Brian, one thing that I would really like to see you guys start including in the box is the resistors to emulate a tube.
And a big disclaimer.
Why is that?
Yeah.
I don't know
That's
if
high,
I want any.
that's high
I don't know
voltage,
if I
man.
want anybody doing that.
Well, that's so because I've got that for my boss, and it's come in handy a couple times. But I can test all my lasers with it. But it's
well, do me a favor. Send me the info. Is it one that was provided by a laser company?
Yeah, it was
because if you go online and look at how to do that, they get a piece of wood and a popsicle stick and put a wire at one end and a wire at the other.
The instructions that I got on our other laser when they had me do it said to arc it with a screwdriver and then connect all those wires.
Okay, so that's just a resistor. Okay,
Yeah.
Send me the values on it.
Yeah, it's just a resistor. It's a 100 watt, 100 kJ. But yeah, it's just a big resistor, and they give you the 2 leads that you just clamp right in line of your tube, so you don't have to unhook anything.
Yeah, well, that won't go out with every machine, but if I have a couple of them laying around, we could send out from time to time. That may not be a bad idea. There are some times when I suspect a failed tube, and I'd really like to put a dummy load on that meter and confirm. So, yeah. And I figured I was going to holler at somebody that I knew that used to be in the TV world when they messed with flybacks, and maybe they had a tester or something that would be suitable for it, because that's nothing but a flyback in that. power supply. But yeah, that's good to know. Remind me, actually, can you like write down and send me in some electronic way the specifications on that, please? So I don't
Yep.
forget. Just whenever. I'll look into that. I was thinking about that the other day too. I got all this stuff in my mind now. I just got to make it all happen.
Hey, Brian, do you
Yeah.
want one of these things to play with?
One of the resistor things. I mean, not. I can probably buy a box of them on eBay. I don't mind getting the stuff. I just needed to know what it was. But now that
I'll send it in the mail to you if you want to play with it. I'm not comfortable doing this crap, and I grew up with an electrician. So
do you have a 4-inch lens?
me?
For what?
A 4-inch
No,
head with your machine?
not
For a boss?
I've
He's
got
gonna
a-
swap you. Gosh, you're missing. He's gonna give you a 4-inch
Oh,
lens if you do that.
no, I do not
Oh.
have a 4-inch.
Oh, well, I was gonna send him an optic. I can't get
Oh.
away with sending a whole head. But if he had a 4-inch lens, I got some of those. I haven't forgot you, Jim. Your box is sitting over here on Odin. I mean Nova.
Floor.
No, it's not in the floor. I have some 4-inch meniscus lenses that I think are pretty cool. And if somebody had a 4-inch, I'm trying to make those available to play with. But I'll work
Yeah,
something out with you if you want to send me one of those, just so I can get an idea. I don't mind being a guinea pig.
Yeah, meniscus are the best lenses.
Yeah,
in my
I've got no
opinion.
issue dropping it in the mail to you. You've got my email. I mean, we've talked enough with tickets that, and we can throw it in the mail to you and whatever else you need. If I can print off what I was sent to run the test, if Travis doesn't have it, I'll send that crap with it too.
Let me see if I can find you.
I'll just send you a message.
Okay, that may be good. I'm getting a lot of noise in my fuzzy search right now. So that'd be awesome. I'd like to have something like that too. And I'll practice with it first and make a video or something. Maybe I want to electrocute myself. Oh wow, it's already 3:45. All right, that's cool. We've actually had some content. Does anybody else have anything while we're in a lull?
Sam's been really oddly quiet.
So have you.
I get through my quiet spells.
Yeah.
You're gonna wait till the after hours.
Let's see. Ding, 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 ding.
Sam, are you in the convoy?
Hey, Brian,
Yes.
the Thunders, do they come with meniscus or they come with the Plano convex?
They're Plano convex. We
Oh, okay.
what happened? We just happen to have a box of 30. It's actually 40 meniscus 4-inch lenses from somewhere, and they're like, "Where did these come from? What do we do with them?" I'm like, "I have an idea." So I stuck them up on the ecom site, and I'm gonna pass a few of them out and see how people like them.
Let's say
It's nothing we plan on
one
carrying.
mine.
I mean, if somebody wants to get meniscus lenses for their machine, that's totally fine.
Why don't they use meniscus? Because meniscus tends to be a better.
Well, it's a little better, but
properties.
it's not price. It is better, but for the price, the Plano convex is just fine. I mean, you know what I mean? It's kind of like when I did stereos, they made this stuff that looked like fingernail polish, and you could rub the wires on the end of it, and it was to promote the conduction of electricity through those terminals better.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you could get crazy crap like that, but it comes to a point when it's just not real feasible. I mean, the price is quite a bit more because they have to grind both sides, and they're better, but they're not necessarily twice the price better. I mean, it depends on what you're doing.
I guess it depends on where you get them too. I don't know where they get their lenses, who they get their lenses from, but I know just as I use Cloud Ray a lot, and the difference between their Plano and meniscus are, maybe $5 to $10 for a lens. So you might pay somewhere between $30 and $40 for a meniscus versus $25 for a Plano. I mean, yes, they're not probably the best ones out there, but I mean, I've used them for. I mean, I got the same set in one of my lasers that I've had for probably close to 7 years, and I've never had to replace it. Where'd Brian go? He didn't like my comments, I guess.
Scared him off.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm trying to remember, and I've got this lens, and it's weird. You can't see through it at all. It's like totally reflective. And I don't remember which one where I got it from, but it's an amazing lens.
Well, the way you could tell is if you take the lens and you hold it up to the corner of your eye. If you can see I can't remember which it is, but if you can see your reflection in it, it's one type of lens, and if you can see through it, it's the other type, which I think the one you can see through is the plano. I think the meniscus is the one that you'll actually see your own reflection in.
Yeah, let me grab my tool here.
I know it's one of those. One of them. Either one of them does one or the other, but that's how you can tell the differences. I haven't read up on it or done anything with it in so long. I don't remember off the top of my head. I just know how you can check them.
Yeah, because I know this one.
Because the one I think it's meniscus. It's almost like it's hazy looking when you look through it or try to look through
it. This one's weird because it is full on reflective. Like you cannot see through it at all.
Is that which side is that? Is that the convex side or the?
They're both sides are like that.
Oh, are they? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
But it's
Is that a mirror or is that a focal lens?
You know, at first I thought they sent me the wrong thing. I thought they sent me a mirror, but
that looks like a mirror.
No, it's actually a lens.
Huh.
So, yeah, it's a 4-inch, and yeah, it's just freaking amazing at what it does, though.
I've never seen one that's that shiny like that. They're usually like a yellowish, like a dull yellowish color with one side polished.
That's what I'm used to seeing, and this one came from APC, and I had called them and I told them, hey, you know, I've got a 130 watt laser. I'm overdriving it to 150. You know, what do you have for lenses on a 4-inch that would hold up? They go, oh, we've got the perfect thing. We'll send you one. And they sent me this, and at first when I saw it, I'm like, crap, that's just a mirror. That's not a lens. And I called them, they're like, oh, no, the laser beam goes through it, but visual light doesn't go through it. So that part sucks because I don't have my red dot pointer. But the laser just goes
that won't go through it, yeah.
Yeah, the red dot won't go through it, but the actual laser beam just passes right through it, like no resistance at all.
Huh. Yeah, I've never seen one like that before. But I know. I mean, if for anybody that's listening about mirror or lenses and stuff, you want to make sure that you get the lens with the proper coating on it, because the coating, I don't remember the two different coatings, but one's for, I think it's 100 watt and less, and then the other one's for 100 watts or more.
Yep.
So if you got 130, you definitely don't want to get the one that's 100 watts or less, because you'll burn it up. And it's like the Nincy, is it Nincy and Sensi or something like Cine and so, I don't know what the acronyms are for them.
There's all sorts of different coatings, and as I finally I was wrong. It wasn't an APC lens. It's a 2.6 lens.
Oh.
So yeah, and it's part of their industrial lens thing.
I'm surprised we haven't gotten kicked yet.
Yeah, Brian's trying to get back in. He's messaging me on Facebook. He's trying to get back in, but his the server that's running this crapped.
Yep.
So I don't know how we're still on here, but
I don't know. No, so I just looked it up. I remember what this lens is now. So it's a diamond overcoat anti-reflection ZNSE lens. That's the one that I use when I'm cutting metal. So that way the metal doesn't flash back into the laser.
Oh, that's why it's that. Because you have HP, don't you?
Nope.
Oh, you're running just straight CO2 cutting?
Yeah, on my Boss 63, I run CO2 cut with it, and it, you know, I can't go super thick, but I can hit a like 22 gauge mild steel maybe it's 20 gauge mild steel.
Yeah. I mean, even with the regular CO2, you can cut mild steel with it, and actually
Yeah.
ablate it, and engrave into it. The problem with that is is a pretty big problem when you got the reflection. Because I did that one time with my other laser, and the refracted beam or reflected beam actually came back and blew up my dang red dot pointer.
Yep. Yeah, that's why I've got that
So
special lens that keeps that from
you,
happening.
you
So,
gotta be careful when you're cutting metal,
yep.
especially the low carbon steels, because
Yep.
it will reflect like crazy. So
So do you
I
have
wouldn't.
is one of your bosses an HP?
No, I have the LS 3655, which is
Oh, okay.
basically like the 51.
Yeah, I've been looking at those HPs. I'm trying to figure out what exactly is different on them because their
Well, they
website is not very forthcoming.
well it's oxygen injected. So you have to have an oxygen tank and some other kind of air. It's a no, some kind of non-conductive air of some sort. I don't know. You have to have oxygen in that other cylinder, but the problem with it is it burns through so fast. That I mean, you waste a lot of money. And like I've had people ask me, and I tell them, if you're gonna do that, you might as well just get a regular one and then buy a plasma cutter,
Yep.
because you still got to run gas on a plasma cutter, but a plasma cutter is more a little bit more conservative with it with the gas that it uses, and it's more efficient.
Yep.
Yeah, Sam, you've not. If you can hear us, you've not. I see your mic on mute, but we can't hear you. I did just for a brief second there.
Yeah, I'm trying. My headset's not working, and I don't know why.
Yeah, I heard you there.
Just blame Biden on it. Seems to be popular these days.
It's the Ukraine's fault.
It's Ukraine's fault.
Did you get my voicemail?
I did. I texted you back. I get mine out of China because I'm buying them like by the several thousand at a shot. But honestly, if you're just looking for a few hundred of those cards, you can get them off of eBay or Amazon.
Yeah, I know, but like which one? I don't know what to buy. I've got the Thunder 100 watt. I don't know what'll etch on them or whatever.
So if you want to get them to where they're somewhat affordable and still a good quality, what is his name? Come on.
And I hate to ask, but if you could send me a link, that would be great because I'm at work right now.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to send you a link. Let's see.
Not a link in here, but if you could text it to me, that would be great.
Yep. Yeah, I'm working on pulling it up. But yeah, the guy's name is Richard Zhang. So he does mainly fiber and fiber laser stuff, but he sells those business cards. And his are actually really good quality, middle of the road for thickness. So they aren't too thick, not too thin, but they do really well.
Yeah, the ones they send with their lasers are the same ones they sell, and they're pretty good.
Yep.
They engrave really nice. They don't flake off like some do, because some of them will actually flake when you engrave them. But
Well,
his
when
are pretty.
you're buying a couple thousand of them, how much are you getting them for a piece? Or you buy 1,000, how much is that total?
So
You'd
I'm
have
usually buying about 10,000 at a shot, and I think I'm paying after shipping about, was it probably 25 cents a piece, 20 cents a piece, somewhere in there.
I could probably send a postage stamp to Alaska and buy them from you for
But then I have to order more, and normally I would say sure, but right now it's such a pain to get anything out of China, and I have a feeling it's going to get even worse here pretty quick.
Yep.
What makes you think?
Hey, Jim and Travis, and
Yeah.
maybe even Jeremy, check and see if you guys have admin rights on this.
I don't.
Okay, well it says it's going to end in 1 minute anyway, so
Well, it's been saying
Is
that for
Brian-
the last. It's been saying that for about the last 15.
Oh, has
Last
it?
10. Yeah.
Well, Brian just said he can't get back on. His computer keeps crashing, or something keeps crashing on him, so he's not going to be able to get back in. So I don't know if there should be an after hours or not. But
we,
Saying
yeah, if we're gonna do it after hours, it'll have to be short with me here. So.
yeah. But if you check the record button in the bottom left, if you hover over it, it'll tell you only organizers have it.
Yep.
I know that he typically gives you guys control. So I don't know if you guys have that ability to stop it or not. But
He didn't have it. I can. No, I can't.
yeah, unless he gives you permission, you're not going to be able to do it. But nonetheless, but I gotta get going, guys. But
Okay.
we'll
Okay,
see
see
y'all
ya.
next week.
All right. See you later.
Later.
Wow.
Okay. All right, Sam, you should have it in a text message now.
Okay, thank you. Sorry
Not a
about my audio. I don't know what's going on, but like I said, my headset's not working. It says something about I have enhanced internet audio, and it won't let my headset work.
That's fun. Yeah, and so I'm looking at it, and yeah, he charges $35 for 100 of the business cards, which isn't too bad for small runs.
And I was going to buy them from you for 50 cents. So
I'm starting to run low right now. Plus, we're actually switching ours over. We're going up to a thick business card that's about 1.5 millimeters thick. So yes, because the really thin ones. Where's my gauge? I've lost my. There's my gauge. Let's see. So yeah, the really thin ones are 0.18 millimeters. The ones that Richard sells are 0.5. So they're a lot better to work with. And then the ones that we're switching over to are 1.5 millimeters. But our thicker ones also, we're having a couple other things done in them. They're actually embedding NFC chips inside of them as well.
Which would explain the being thicker.
Yeah, we had to make them thicker so they wouldn't bend. And I mean, the NFC chips are like stupid thin now. Let's see how thick mine are. Let's see. So yeah, my NFC chips, including the backing paper, are 0.22.
I don't know what the hell that even equates to.
Super thin.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what they are. I mean, there's, that's on the backing paper and everything.
That's like thinner than a fingernail, isn't it?
Oh, way thinner than it's about maybe the thickness of 2 human hairs.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, they are super thin.
I'm just curious, what does that actually do?
So the NFC chips allow us to program business cards. So you can just take a business card and tap it to a phone, and it'll pop up all the contact details on that phone. So it eliminates the need to give out business cards.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yep.
So how are things going up there?
Dude, it's been so between Mother Nature going through menopause and everything else. I mean, it's it's 42 degrees outside right now, according to my watch. And we've had rain and hail on and off all day. One of the cities just south of us, about 45 minutes south of us, luckily they're on the other side of the mountain range, and so that mountain range is blocking a lot of the weather. But they're supposed to be getting 6 to 10 inches of rain between today and Saturday.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and keep in
That's
mind
like,
we're still in winter, so it's all landing on top of snow and ice. So
well,
it's just making
that's a
mess.
major ice melt. Yeah. It was like where I used to live up in Maine. Yesterday they were 63 or 64 degrees. Today they're in the 30s. Tomorrow they're getting 12 to 8.
Yep. I was harassing one of my buddies who lives in Seattle earlier today. I'm like, so how's the weather down there? He's like, we still have freaking snow on the ground. I'm like, oh, it sucks to be you. We're almost melted down up here.
Yeah, we've already flooded out twice. I showed you that picture or not?
Yeah.
Our little Nike brook. Well, it got bigger than that on the last one. And then we were supposed to have another one today, but thank God it split right at us and went north and south of us because we were supposed to have ice with it. We're still going to get some tail ends of it like after 7 tonight, but at least we warmed up to 36 degrees right now. So I'm hoping we stay warm enough when that rain hits that it doesn't turn to ice again.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, no, we've been having our butt handed to me between that trailer I'm working on. I got a fleet of vehicles I'm working on wrapping. We have one coming in each day. Then I got all the Jameson stuff, and then I have Malibu coming in or due right after Jameson, because I guess they have an event like 2 weeks after St. Patty's Day. So yeah, it's been fun.
And see, if I was just up there, I could handle all that shit for you.
Yeah, fly on up. There's no one up here that wants to work. You know, we finally had one of our old employees come back to work for us. So she had left for a couple years because she had a baby, and now she's ready to work again. So she just came back this week and trying to find one other person.
Did you get my you probably didn't even did my Facebook thing? I sent you a picture of that stand.
Today?
Yeah, this afternoon. It's not exactly what I want, and I still gotta, because pulling the tape off, I didn't let everything cure, and then I taped it, and I was pushing the envelope, and I knew I was, but I think I can still age it, and it'll still look
What kind of tape are you using?
fine. Just my blue tape. I didn't grab my automotive tape, and I probably should have.
I'd say
I'm out of it.
That's what I use. I use that. If I'm coating full sheets, I use just paper transfer tape. If I'm doing small areas, then I use that yellow automotive masking tape by 3M.
The best tape I've ever had, and I can't find it's called America something. So we used to use in the finish shop. We could put that stuff down on a soft finish, no bleed through. You pull it back off with no damage. You can't find it no more. And that was the best shit.
There's one made by 3M that's blue, and the only place I can find it up here is at Sherwin-Williams. But it's similar to that, where its bleed resistance is better than frog tape by a lot. And it's got like it's either a 7 or a 14-day clean removal. But it's really nice stuff. It's kind of spendy, but a little bit goes a long way with it.
Yeah, we used similar. I can't. It's called America something. I don't got a tube here or roll laying close to me, but I'm sparingly using it because it's what they used in the automotive industry, and it worked amazing. But I think once I go back over that, because you know how I do everything more rusticy anyways.
Yeah.
And once I go back over that and try to antique it some, because I'm either going to use an antiquing gel on it or come back and just restain over top of the lacquer.
What are you masking on there?
The white outline.
Why?
Where I painted back through, because I painted the letters in the line.
So just paint the whole thing black, hit that all with a laser at a really high speed, and just burn the paint off and leave the wood showing through.
Well, I wanted the white. I wanted to backfill that with paint.
You can't settle with an off-white?
No. I wanted to wait.
Oh
'cause
yeah,
I was gonna,
Travis, I got another question for you.
What's that?
Hey, I was watching, I think it was your Facebook Live feed from a while ago, talking about the equation for the tumblers.
Yep.
Have you finalized that yet? Is it going to be a pay thing, or what are you doing with it?
So yes, it is finalized. It works perfectly. We redeveloped the whole thing based off of projection mapping on spheres. And since I'm a beta tester in Lightburn, I turned the whole formula and all the data over to Jason, who owns Lightburn. And in the next major release, when they go to launch out the Lightburn for Galvos, everyone's getting an update, and that actually will be included in Lightburn.
you got huge
Oh,
royalties.
okay, so we got to wait. There's nothing we can
Yep,
do
you have to
with
wait.
it now?
Oh. So I was really, what I was trying to do on that video is I was trying to simplify it, and I couldn't. Let me pull it up here really quick.
What's the overall look of that, though? You think that's going to look okay for just doing pictures?
Oh yeah. And for doing photos also, like if you want to touch up any of that black, Sharpie works really well.
Well, I actually thought to make it look even the older where they pulled up some of that, it's just going back over with the stain, the dark stain that I used over top of the black paint, and then it'll fill that back in, which will keep with the rustic-y look anyways. Because what I did is I put the black paint down, sanded it back through down almost to the wood, and then I went over with dark walnut stain over top of the paint, and then I lacquered it.
Okay, so here is the formula. Hopefully you guys are good at math.
And that's for the oblong circles. Is that what he's talking about? Is that what he was wanting?
Yeah, that's for
Yeah.
putting a round object on a round object. So like a round logo on a tumbler.
Yeah, remember.
Did you text that or something?
No, I put it in the chat in here because I can copy and paste it that way. Because that's a lot to try to type into a phone.
The
Okay, well, I can't get it right now.
Let's see. Yeah, and you don't have access to the Lightburn beta form.
Yeah, time it over. I don't know how long. I don't know how to get to it.
Yeah, or how good are you with formulas and on math and stuff?
For like spreadsheets and stuff, yeah, I can figure it out, but I can't write it down now either.
Okay, so what I'll do, let me try this. Let's see if this will work.
Why does this feel like physics?
Because this pretty much is.
I can text you my email address as soon as I park, and then if you wanted to copy and paste it on an email, that would work for me.
Well, there, I just sent you a screenshot of it.
I don't want to sound like he said
okay,
he's going to send you a message as soon as he farts. That's literally what it sounded like he said.
But
and
yeah,
by the way,
that's now you guys can see why I was trying to simplify the formula for everybody on that video. But yeah, now it looks like it will actually be included into Lightburn, and it's going to be done two ways. So it will be this way, which is for putting a round logo onto a round object, so a round logo onto a tumbler. And then there's going to be the inverse of this as well, which is going to be more for the Galvo laser guys, but it'll let you put go on a reverse round. So if your laser is shooting down like this, it'll let you put it on something round going this way as well. So you'll be able to do it either way. So, and it looks like they're going to have it set up, at least the prelim is going to be under the tools menu, and then it'll be under cylinder correction setup. But like I said, you guys don't have that yet.
So Travis, I sent an email to Brian last week,
Okay.
and because he had mentioned something about a 7-pin XLR connector that might work with the Chinese chuck rotary.
Okay.
So he answered back. He said that, and this is all Greek to me, so I was hoping maybe you could interpret it. But he said that if you get, as long as you get the proper driver for either the 2-phase or the 3-phase that can handle 36 VDC, because he says most lasers use 24 volt. He said we use a separate 36 volt PSU to power the motors. He said
Okay.
then as long as you get the driver that matches whatever motor is on the rotary and a cable with a 7-pin connector, you're in business. And he said he doesn't have the 7-pin connectors. So I didn't know what any of that meant. So I basically tried to encapsulate it, and I sent it in a text message to CloudRay,
Okay.
because they're selling the identical chuck rotary on Amazon, which I figured is a hell of a lot easier to just order it through Amazon. I can get it in a couple of days. And
Yep.
they sent me back this picture, which I have no idea what this is.
Neither do I. It's super blurry.
Oh, okay.
Like your video feed is really, really low quality. I can't read any of
well,
that.
There's a picture of a 2-phase stepper motor drive and a 3-phase stepper motor drive, and 2 photographs of the wires, one of which is a 3-pin and one of which is a 4-pin connector.
Okay.
So the HM Laser website, this guy is selling this wire. It's a 7-pin connector, which he sells with his rotaries specifically for Thunder lasers and his, custom made rotaries. So
Yep.
I'm trying to figure out if I get this wire, if it's possible to use this with the China rotary. But
it should be, as assuming that is a 36 volt driver on there. But yeah, without, I can't, like I said, I can't really see the photo, so it's really tough.
yeah, I don't know what this picture is. And basically, CloudRay just sent me back the picture. They said, refer to this, friend. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, all right, well, something got lost in the translation, I think.
Well, welcome to dealing with China.
Yeah. Well, on the plus side, I know I can order the thing from Amazon and send it back if it doesn't work. I'm just, before I get myself in over my head, the thing that kind of inspired me was the fact that this HM rotary guy, he actually sells a 7-pin connector to add onto his rotaries, so you can use them with a Thunder laser. So I don't know. I figured maybe.
Yeah, I mean, you can give it a shot. So, but like I said, it's hard to tell because I couldn't see what the photo was. But, like I said, you can give it a shot. The pinouts are usually pretty easy. Brian should be able to give you a copy. Actually, I think it's already on Thunder's website on what the pinout connections are. And then you just need to match them up from there, and away you go.
It's probably on that USB drive too that they sent with the machine in that paper on there.
I never even plugged in that USB drive. It's probably still sitting in a box somewhere.
Yeah, I haven't looked at mine either, but I know it's in there.
For all I know,
I've been winging it every step of the way. I've been winging it. It's like really, I haven't felt I gotta level the bed because it seems like the honeycomb I think's not level all the way because I think I'm gonna have to actually do it where you have to undo the little rail all the way down.
Yep. Jim, have you plugged yours in at all? You're muted. I understood that one. That was oh shit.
No, I when I got it, I threw it in this drawer, and I don't think I've ever messed with it. I don't know what's on it.
Huh. So yeah, well, welcome to the club of the rest of us. None of us have any idea what it is.
So is your don't forget this is recorded. That's the reason why you didn't hear me there earlier.
Oh, that's right. We can't turn it off, can we?
I was just letting you know. So has there been any increased air traffic up there?
Last night there was. We had a crap ton of fighter jets buzzing over the top of our house last night.
I was wondering. I was like, I wonder if it picked up last night after what was going on.
Oh yeah, it did. Yeah, you heard
American fighter jets or Russian fighter jets?
American.
Because I know you can see Russia from your back window, can't you?
Sure, we'll go with that. That's farther north that you can do that, but yeah. Yeah, no, because so we've got two of the largest Air Force bases in the whole U.S. up here. So we have Eielson and we have J-Bear. Yeah, the ones they launched a whole bunch out of Eielson. Eielson's probably, I think it's one of the biggest, if not the biggest, in the U.S. And they've got like a massive runway. It's actually an alternate landing site for the space shuttle. But that's J-Bear and Eielson both are home of the F-22 Raptors. That's pretty much all we have up here anymore. And I heard from a couple of my buddies up in Fairbanks that, they were scrambling out of Eielson all night last night. And we heard the F-22s running over our house. Not a bunch of them, probably just like, 6 to 8 of them that went over. But, they were flying fast and just high enough to be above the cloud cover. So it rumbles your house and everything, but you don't get to actually see them.
I was wondering.
Yep.
Because he's going after everything that he used to own.
Yep.
Well, one of the things he used to own.
Yep.
We're start saying, "Hey, comrade."
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, unfortunately, actually, I should say, fortunately, Alaska is the most strategic piece of land in the world to own, and so the U.S. will defend it with everything that they have.
Well, the biggest difference is we purchased it. The other ones were not purchased; they were break-offs.
Yep.
So that would be the only savior, is we purchased it.
Yeah, but knowing Putin, though, he's going to be like, yeah, but you purchased it from an idiot that didn't understand contracts and blah, blah, blah. We're taking it back anyways.
And then it'll be Trudeau going, well, it's our neighbor. We want it.
If it wasn't for Trudeau, actually, I wouldn't mind being part of Canada. It's better than the rest of the U.S. But
I don't know. With the way it's going on in Canada, I don't know if
that's why I said, right now, not so much. But a year or two ago, sure.
Yeah, but then you would be screwed, because then you'd be paying all those tariffs.
Yeah.
Anything you would order out of the U.S. or going in, you would be paying. It'd hurt your business.
Yeah. Well, and anymore. So we just did a bulk order that we need to finalize actually this afternoon for Baltic birch, because Biden keeps putting on all these new sanctions against Russia. Well, where do you think all of our true Baltic birch comes from?
Mm-hmm.
So he's starting to limit imports from Russia, which means our Baltic birch prices are going to be going through the roof. I mean, they haven't even come all the way back down anyways, and we're still hovering at, 25 to 28 bucks a sheet. And
yeah,
so
I'm running massively low. I'm sort of scared on that aspect of it.
Yeah, well, my recommendation, don't overstock, but stock up. Because
I don't even have any money to stock right now. That's part of the problem.
I can't help you with that one, but yeah. So I think we're ordering up a full pallet of it. So because we're down to our last pallet of it right now. But yeah, I think we're gonna go ahead and order another pallet of it up.
Yeah, because according to what the idiot said today, the sanctions weren't even really going to go into place for another month. or something like that, the way it was worded. Because every other thing that he talked about wasn't even going to go into place right now. I'm going, why do we even have this press conference today?
Let's see. I'm
So
actually
I don't.
reading about it right now because apparently there is a Joe Biden released new sanctions on Russia this morning.
Did he release the sanctions, or was he? Were they actually? Because that was one of the questions that was raised. Are they actually threats of sanctions, or are they true sanctions? And that was the question
Well,
that
that's what I'm trying
raised.
to find out. And it looks like right now they're just going after financial institutions for the most part. Yeah, it looks like it's all financial stuff.
I know somebody that lives over in that region, and they're basically telling me it ain't good.
Yeah, no, I know quite a few people that live over in Russia, and right now they're trying to get out and come over to Alaska, and they're
Or did you
having
hear?
a lot of problems.
Did you hear about that Ukraine? What the heck was she? She Ukraine ambassador or wherever the heck she was? That they had a whole Russian battalion surrender to the Ukraine forces because they said they didn't even understand why they was going in there, and they did what was explained to them was exactly not what they were doing, and so they just surrendered because
Awesome.
they said they weren't there to do that. They thought it was some kind of humanitarian type scenario, whatever it was, and they just said, no, this is not why we're here. We're supposed to be here. So the whole damn battalion just said, we're surrendering.
Yeah, it's
That came out of Ukraine's ambassador. That was
well,
live during one of the
so
ambassador.
and what's stupid is, I'm looking at it and it's saying Biden sanctions do not target Putin directly, and Biden refused to answer why he was not going directly after Putin.
Yep.
He's targeting everyone else in Russia but Putin. So figured that one out.
Oh, I've done got that figured out.
What's okay? What's that other than our leader is a complete idiot and moron?
When you're laying in bed with somebody, why would you want to piss them off?
Well, I don't know that he is laying in bed with him though, because
Well,
his
no, but
son works for Ukraine.
yeah, but Hillary's his bed partner, and she's laying in bed with him.
Well, yeah, Hillary is, but Biden's kid Hunter is working for the Ukrainian energy, whatever it is.
Well, Biden doesn't want to feel the wrath of Hillary, because you know what happens when you feel that wrath.
Yeah, you're never heard of again.
Just like you go to prison and you just don't make it out.
Yeah, you just magically get or hang yourself in prison.
Yeah. I think he's torn because he doesn't know exactly what to do. Is like, oh shit, if I piss the Clintons off, I'm fucked. If I piss off the Ukraine, my son's fucked. Damn it, what do I do?
Yeah.
It's called Arkansas.
It's called you let them battle it out and we stay out of it.
Exactly.
We got our own stuff to deal with.
But we're part of the UN, and since the UK and all them's done doing their stuff, we have to follow because of the whole invasion of what the heck was it called? A sovereign area or whatever it was. So we have to follow into that.
Yep. So Arthur, I'm looking at that link that you sent me, and I don't see in there that it includes the driver. Oh,
okay. Well, so I don't know what a driver is. To me, a driver is a piece of software. So I didn't understand the whole thing from the get-go.
The driver is that black box that on the pictures down in the description, it'll say like three-phase stepper motor drive. That black box where all the wires go to, that's the actual driver. But it doesn't actually say that it includes that. It just shows where the pinouts go on that box.
So, okay, I just assumed that wiring that driver was, like under the case.
Well, and it might be, but I would check on that because most laser companies have the drivers built into their machines, which I personally don't like because that limits you to using specific types of rotaries. Whereas Thunder, they left theirs as open connections, so you can put the driver on the actual rotary itself and use whatever rotary you want.
Okay.
So I would just check on that and see, because I mean you can use a 2-phase or 3-phase. 3-phase is a little bit better, I think at least. So you can use either of those, but you need to have that driver as well with it. That's why a lot of companies, like for example, Thunder or Pyburn, that's why they charge a little bit more when you, or for the Thunder setup, is because they have to include that driver with it. Where ones like Boss don't require the driver on it.
So that driver is not in the Thunder machine.
No.
Okay.
Just a soft reminder. I think we're still being recorded, remember?
Oh yeah, we are.
That's why everything's not been said directly or horribly bad.
Yep.
I thought the F-bombs and stuff, but it's okay.
What F-bombs?
I think we should have one person just stay on and make this like a 6-hour recording so it gets emailed to Brian later.
Yeah, I didn't like how the my hat patch came out with the color on it. I think it's just too dark for the lettering, unless I change my font.
So I mean, I like it. The staining's a little blotchy, but
especially when you come from that.
Yeah.
There, I think looks a lot more legible. The staining on the other one, blotchy. I didn't think is that really.
It might just be I think it's the way the camera's picking it up.
Well, so yeah, because on that piece there was sort of, you really can't see the blotchy.
Yeah, because your fingers look kind of blotchy too on the camera.
Okay.
So I think it might just be.
And it is a little blotchy, but it was the way that was absorbing it. Because on the earrings it looked fine.
Yeah, you wiped it off after you stained it, right?
Yeah, I put the stain on, then
wiped it off.
And
you go with the grain or against the grain?
I don't remember. I don't know.
So with leather, the best way is you apply the stain. If you're putting it on with a brush, you apply the stain against the grain. You wipe it off with the grain.
I used a rag.
A rag. Same thing. Put it on with the or against the grain. Wipe it off with the grain.
And it's probably advisable too to wear gloves.
Yeah, especially when you're working with like high colors like purple.
Yeah, I have a bad tendency of not wearing gloves in the paint booth, and I was like, I didn't even think about it. I started putting that dye on there, and I'm like, shit.
Yep.
I was like, now I have orange fingers.
Yeah, I did that yesterday when I was working on that trailer. Except for it was EPDM mastic.
Mastic is horrible.
Yeah, well, and this is those EPDM strips. So it's the joiner strips. So it's got that. I don't know what it's like a mastic on the back, but it never comes off, and like you barely tap it, and the whole piece is done. You can't get it back apart.
Yeah, I actually went over the stain, and then I went back over with the antiquing gel,
and
then I went over top of with the saddle soap. Afterwards, it came out really shiny and pretty, though.
I bet it did.
So that was leather you put up there, Jim?
Yeah.
Okay, it looked like wood. What kind of leather is that? What's the weight?
3.
Okay.
3. Yeah, it's like 3.
Yeah, I think that's a 3/4, something like that.
Yeah.
Hey Jim, you've got a benchtop grinder, right?
Yeah.
Rip off one of your wheels on it and put a buffing wheel on it. And then you can burnish your edges of that leather. Either that or just get a wood burnisher that'll hook right onto it.
Yeah, well, I thought there was a spindle issues. Didn't you say something about the spindle sizes?
So if you can find them, you should be able to find them for your benchtop grinder. The ones I use use it's like a 1/4-inch spindle or something like that. It's a really small one.
I thought about just getting one or making them or getting one for the Dremel, just since I'm using such tiny shit.
Yeah.
And
well,
get
honestly,
one Dremel.
You could honestly probably just make your own. I mean, just take like a hole saw and cut a disc out of rosewood or something like that. Sand it down to a
That's
good.
exactly what I did. I used a hole saw. I got a nice piece of. I actually use cherry wood, and
Yep.
I put it on a drill press.
Yeah, just cut a nice round one, and then get your spindle diameter in the middle, and polish up the outside, and do it with a kind of like a little wave groove in it, so you've got a nice round groove in the middle.
Yeah, I took a piece of sandpaper, I wrapped it around a drill bit, and then just pressed it in until I got a nice, maybe a 4 millimeter groove in it, so that I could stick that. I use like 6 ounce leather right in there and just burnish all the edges.
What did you use for your spindle or for your drill press? I mean, for your
I took an old drill bit and put it into the hole that was left by the hole saw, and just glued it in.
Oh, glued it in. Okay, so I was like, how did you get the friction?
Come on. So the other thing that you can do also, Jim, is if you're going to do it that way, you want to sand the outside edges of that disc to about between a 1,000 to a 5,000 grit. Get it super smooth, almost to a shiny
like
type. Yeah, almost like a shiny look on it. And then I can't remember what they're called, but it's a cone shape that's got a spiral screw on it. They're designed for holding the cloth discs onto bench grinders. And get one of those and then just spin it on there, and that'll hold it nice and tight.
Yeah, I probably could turn something on the lathe or just buy one.
Oh, that's right. If you've got a
lathe?
If you've got a lathe, just freaking make one, dude.
You guys are sitting there talking about that. I'm sitting there looking at the lathe going, that means I'd have to sharpen my knives and.
What else are you doing right now?
Talking to you guys. I've got a bunch of shit I got to mill. I got to quit screwing with the laser. I really got to quit screwing with the laser and get out of here so I got room.
He's got a lathe. He's got an ebony tree growing out in the backyard.
You still got that furniture laying around that you're supposed to be restoring? Have you started it?
Well, 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces are stripped. I've got another one I got to sand down and strip. I got 2 chairs I got to tear apart and glue back together. I got a dresser sitting back in the basement that's been sitting here for probably 6 months waiting for the lady to drop the deposit off of in January. And she talked to me, and we got the snowstorm. I haven't heard from her since then, so it's still sitting in the basement.
Fun.
That's like
that's when you do what we do.
These are the bills from the back, but I got some splaining to do.
What's that, Sam?
I know. Well, if you wouldn't have left the refrigerator, if you wouldn't have left the refrigerator open last night,
he's
you
not
liked all
talking
those fan jokes.
Oh.
Hey, so I've got all of that load with the trailer behind me. The circle part that's by your hand, that's his trailer and that's his seal number. This is all that load. I was over 1,000 pounds on the tail. So he had to come down and get some of it.
He's driving illegal. Now we're finding out the truth, how they handle shit out there in California.
Okay.
Yep, exactly.
No wonder why there's so many restrictions out there, because they do it illegally.
But you get in those mountains up above like LA and stuff, and it's a totally different world up there.
I'm just letting you know that's fine.
All right. Well,
So
hey, I got to run,
mine
guys.
is
I've got to get back to work. I've got to get caught up on some of this stuff.
and then that's the steel that's on his trailer also. Okay.
So you guys have fun listening to Sam.
Yeah, I gotta get off here too.
All right. We'll see you guys next week.
Okay, later.
All right. Bye.
Okay.
Later, Sam.
Okay. Well, we can park them right here, and then they're together, and it'll make your job easier. There you go. Lock the whole thing in. Nobody can come in and go out. Debbie said, "Forget it. I'm done. I want you to park them up there because if I tell you where I really want you to park them, I'll probably get fired." Yep. I have a sense of humor about it. Other people don't get it. Exactly. So, Annie, how you doing otherwise? Good. Sorry to be a pain. And when we drove through, the scales were closed anyways. But sure enough, if I would have came up 1,000 pounds overweight, they'd have been open for me. And then I had to run them, and then you would have seen me in a caravan of highway patrol behind me.